Hey Channel Insiders, welcome back to Channel Insider Partner POV, your source for untapped opportunities and unfiltered opinions in the IT channel, all to help you make better business decisions. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso. Hey, exciting announcement here. Get ready for a first-of-its-kind recognition program from Channel Insider. This list honors best-in-class channel partnerships and is 100% nomination-based, sourced directly from vendors and solution providers themselves. Got a partnership you want recognized? VIP nomination applications are now open. Okay, back to the interview. My guest today is Karen Greer, CEO of Secure Content Technologies, a hybrid VAR MSP solution provider. Our conversation truly runs the gamut, from implementing managed services to being a female CEO in a still male-dominated industry, to how security vendors can earn Karen's trust, and what it takes to stand out in this crowded yet critical space of cybersecurity. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me today.
I appreciate you so much for being here. I have to say that I believe you are the first US-based female CEO that I've had on the show, which is absolutely wild. So I'm so personally excited to have you here. And it's just such an honor to get to talk to you and take a bit of your time. But why don't we first talk about Secure Content Technologies? You're a hybrid MSP and VAR. So what kinds of services and solutions do you offer, and who are your typical customers?
So we are 100% cybersecurity focused, and I consider us a boutique in a way because we are kind of a hybrid, right? We tailor our solutions and our services to what the client needs. So some customers really want that whole MSP where we do all the work, and others want to buy the solution, and we're just kind of an avenue for that. Our customers range anywhere from the small business up to very large corporations. We've really diversified the business, or I have over the years, so that if any one area kind of started to teeter a little bit, we were always in the safe zone. So vertical-wise, we work with any and all verticals except for federal government.
So I'd like to double click on what you mentioned about those services, the managed services, because you started as a VAR traditionally, but then you incorporated the managed services and professional services starting about 5 years ago. Can you walk me through that journey to incorporating them? And what was it like saying, we need to do this, and here's how we're going to chart that course?
It became a louder and louder message that I heard from customers that cybersecurity was becoming so large and their staff might not have been growing along with that, right, from a technical standpoint, and also the knowledge base that it took for those positions to be really good at what they were doing. So you hear the story, there's so much work, but we don't have enough people to do the job. So we started to kind of just very intentionally add services. So our team is very unique in that not only are they completely certified and trained and accredited in all the solutions we offer, but they work with them on a day-to-day basis. So we bring a very unique view to the client of what we can actually do for them. The MSP side, there's a lot of, I will say, smaller customers that don't have an IT staff. And so the MSP option often is very attractive to them because they can be very hands-off with it. And as what they call managed detection and response has grown, we build that into all of our offerings now to where, especially from the MSP side, there's a 24/7 threat hunting team always watching that environment. And they can then alert us if there's an issue. So it kind of helps me sleep better at night knowing that I've got that team behind us that can then, in many cases, they can remediate for us, but they always let us know what's happening and involve us.
Something that really interested me of when we first met and we're just kind of talking and getting to know each other is you mentioned that the MSP side of the business was you really listening to the technical people inside of your company. As a leader who has to delegate and who has to bring a lot of people into one room to be able to come up with some final decisions, what was important to you about letting them tell you what was necessary on that journey to be able to get to success with those managed services?
Oh gosh. So delegation has been not the easiest thing for me to embrace, right? It's hard. But when I started to really embrace that and delegate and really listen to what they were telling me, it became a much more pleasurable business to run. And in addition, I'm not the one doing the technical work, obviously. So they're in there with the customers. They're hearing what the customers say. They're seeing the challenges. It just makes perfect sense to listen to what they're saying. And then we have a dialogue back and forth. Well, what if this or what if that? And it becomes a situation where it all just works. Like you're sharing ideas, which is the team I want to build. I want to build a team that always comes to me and says, hey, we think we'd like to try this, or we think this maybe isn't working. So what else could we do here? That to me is just the way to grow a solid company. Everybody's efforts matter.
Moving on from there, Karen, speaking of verticals, I noticed there is a lot of talk about K through 12 on your website for Secure Content Technologies. Is that vertical, or is there a particular vertical that maybe for yourself you get more excited about than others? You've been in this space for a long time, so I am curious to know if there's one that really lights you up.
There's a lot of them that light me up, but as far as if you talk about K-12, that's an area for me that just had a personal interest in giving them the service and the attention that they so deserve. And working through their budget challenges with them is something that I just get a lot of pleasure out of. And I've been able to build very long-term, solid relationships with K-12 schools that are our customers. And I just enjoy that part of the business. And there's one area, a solution set that we provide that actually is about student mental health, their well-being. It can track where the kids are, what they're doing, if they're doing Google searches on things of how to harm themselves or they don't have enough food, things like that. That whole product line has just really opened my eyes to kind of what's going on with our young people. And that solution has saved many, many lives over the time that we've been representing it. So from a personal standpoint, I've enjoyed that. We're also having a lot of success in financial services because SEC is launching all these new rules and guidelines around cybersecurity. And, you may have a financial investor that doesn't necessarily have an IT department or understand completely what the compliance issues that they need to solve. So we've really invested a lot of time, effort, money, all those types of things into that industry so that we can be a good trusted advisor for financial services companies.
Can you kind of explain that to me? Because I see other people, other businesses who work in federal, for example, and CMMC is a constantly evolving situation and it can be frustrating. But for you, it sounds like as that sector changes and tightens those rules, it actually brings in business for you.
It does. And just like we are a trusted advisor, I have trusted advisors too in that industry. And so they may come to me and say, hey, the SEC was here, they did an audit, and now these things are changing. Now we have to actually have tracking and archiving and things that we didn't have to do before. So while I'm learning, the book side, the educational side, I'm also making sure that I learn real life examples of what's going on when an audit takes place, what new rules are coming down the pike, which ones aren't here yet, but we know they're coming, right? That sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I took that to heart. There's a couple of our clients that are very good at helping me stay on top of the regulations so that I'm confident that when we go into accounts, we can help them.
When it comes to the differentiators of secure content technologies, how do you stand out in this industry as a hybrid solution provider, where we're looking at thousands of MSPs, VARs, MSSPs, people who play in this similar space? So what makes secure content technology stand out from the pack?
When I started this business in 2006, there were a couple foundational principles that I really started it on. And it wasn't fear-based, right? It was all about trust and ethics. And so that is how we treat all of our clients. But in addition to that, we treat our vendors that way. We stand upon our ethics and our honesty in every case. We're not a solution pusher. We are not just a product selling machine. We really go in and establish a solid relationship, a solid rapport with our customers and our vendors so that we're a team. It's not just us coming and saying, oh, you need endpoint security, you need EMR archiving, you need web filter. No, the very first thing we do is listen first. What are they worried about? What are their concerns? Do they feel like they have any holes? Are they understaffed? Where can we fit in? And in a lot of terms, budgets always come into play, right? So you have to be first of top of mind with that and be the client's advocate. If we know they have X amount in their budget, then that's what I'm going to go and negotiate for to make sure that we can meet those needs.
And talking a little bit more about your clients, where are you seeing a pattern of difficulty or maybe misunderstanding or risk within that customer base in 2024?
I do hear a lot of I don't have enough staff to complete all the projects that I have. I hear that at least probably 5 times a day. And that's where we come in then and say, well, we do actually have a pro services team. If you have projects that maybe you can't take on right now, we could take those on for you. Sometimes you can see relief, right? Like, oh, great, we've got a trusted resource. And sometimes it might take me years to build that trust level. You know, and I got an email from a customer the other day, and he said, we've worked with you for 20 years. You've always treated us impeccably. Every solution that you've ever sold to us has worked out perfectly. And after all these years, I just wanted to reach out and tell you I consider you my friend. And that really meant actually the world to me, right? Because in our industry, everything is so fast paced. Like we're always all running around, you know, way behind our workload and what we need to do. And so for him to take the time to do that really spoke a lot to the company. And it wasn't just about me, it was about my whole team.
With that said, are there any success stories with clients that come to mind of when you say, I need a banner to really show potential clients that we rock and this is what we do best? What comes to mind as a success story for you?
Gosh, we had a very interesting one. So a local company here in Cincinnati, not a huge firm, but, you know, mid-size, around 50-ish employees. They had been hit by ransomware. And the technology company that they had, or networking company that they had doing their computer work at the time, thought that they had contained the threat, only to find out a week later that every last bit of their data was locked up in ransomware. And, you know, you could just see the absolute fear on the owner's face. So we got involved, and within an hour, we had an incident response team, actually a Sophos incident response team. We came in, and with the Sophos incident response team, within an hour, had the threat identified. By the end of that day, we were able to contain it, figure out how it had gotten in. And over the next couple days, it did take a couple days. Luckily, we were able to get their backup reestablished and recuperate all their data for them. They have become, since then, a very valued client. No more incidents. And I feel like we did an amazing job. It's very hard to get the whole team within an hour when a threat is launched.
Karen, you mentioned in the beginning very much that there is no one size fits all solution. You're not going to push something onto your customers. You're going to listen to them. But when it comes to the threats that we're seeing today, ransomware, hackers, things that are just kind of coming to mind that we see in the headlines, is there any piece of advice that you do have for end user businesses out there of where they can start to be more secure?
Honestly, I would say find a very trusted resource. Find a company like mine that has been, I've been doing this 30 years now. And so I've watched the evolution from antivirus software to what we have today, which is just this huge plethora of different solutions for different things. And I think from an end user perspective, that can be very hard to sift through and for them to say, what actually do I need? Of all these things, what's the most important thing to start with? And so that's typically what we do is we start small. We take a look at what they have that they can keep in place that's working well. And then we may recommend a few things from the start, not to reinvent the wheel, but to just get them started so that we can secure them better. In my view, the managed detection and response offering that we're seeing now from security vendors is incredibly valuable to customers. So I do actually like to recommend that.
Very important advice for sure. You're, as I mentioned earlier, the first US-based female CEO of a channel business that I've spoken to on this series in the year that I've been doing it, which is, it's mind-blowing. And I get so excited to talk to you. But I also want to recognize that I'm excited about it. But does that mean that we're still seeing kind of those shortcomings for opportunities for women in this industry, in this space? And I just would like to know, what has been your experience with that? Is it where we're seeing women get more opportunity now? Or would you say that we're seeing this still be a more male-dominated industry in tech in general?
I think that it is a male-dominated industry, but I don't feel that that women are being shut out from it. I just think it is more, maybe not a field that always attracts women. I remember when I first got involved in it, I thought, ugh, I don't know, this just seems boring. But it wasn't boring, right? Because it became all about the people. It became about the customers. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I think there's a lot of opportunity for women in tech. And you're seeing more and more like women in tech organizations, things like that I think are helping them along. And sometimes maybe it helps to find a mentor. I am surprised when I am involved in things that many times I'm the only woman in the room. But, after doing it for so long, it doesn't really enter your head too much anymore. You just think this is the way tech is.
You mentioned about finding a mentor. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody if they came up to you at a conference and said, Karen, I really want to grow to be in the position that you're into one day? And do you have any advice for me to get there? What would you say to them?
You got to start small, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to start and really, really make sure you're educated in the industry and the trends and the different solutions. And you have to always conduct yourself in a very professional and trustworthy manner, right? Because you're in the security space. So your goal is to gain people's trust. And I think that's very important in cybersecurity, because a lot of times I'll hear people with fear-based messaging, and that's never part of my mantra, and it never will be. The threats are there. We're all very well aware. And so you really need to be more consultative, more trustworthy, more invested in the customer, right? So that you're not going and saying, oh, the sky's falling. It's not about that. I think that the industry, like I would find a mentor, whether it be a male or a female. Find somebody that's been doing this for 10 or 15 or more years and pick their brain. Someone actually reached out to me from a vendor this week and had some career decisions to make. Would I spend 15 minutes with her? Of course. Of course I'm going to spend, not that I have all the answers, but of course you can run something by me. I've made enough mistakes in this world that have taught me what not to do.
You also brought up trust, and that leads me to consider the summer that we've seen where trust involved in cybersecurity has been so critical, because we have seen things like the CrowdStrike incident with the Microsoft outage. We have seen some really widespread hacks of personal information just across the end user public alone. When it comes to trusting the vendors who are providing those cybersecurity solutions to you, what do you look for in a vendor?
So I've heavily invested in the channel my whole career. And by that, I mean, there's vendors that are very channel focused, and there's vendors that are not. And I tend to gravitate towards the ones that are investing in me as a business as well. So we're a true team. And the vendors that I find that are transparent with the partners, that invest in the partners and invest in their solutions, are the ones that I tend to gravitate towards. I sit on some advisory councils for some of the vendors that I represent. And the reason I do that is it's just like me listening to my staff. I'm the feet on the street for the vendor. And so it's those vendors that are saying to their partner community, I want to hear what you have to say. You're important to me. That means the world to a partner. And for me, I'm very, very passionate about what I do, both from the vendor standpoint and the customer standpoint. And I do think, let's face it, with the whole CrowdStrike thing, no cybersecurity company ever wants to go through that. And so when I watched that happen, I felt more empathy for them than I did, that they had done some terrible thing. Clearly, they didn't intentionally do it. So I felt very empathetic towards that.
Are there any vendors that you feel are investing in you right now that you would feel comfortable shouting out?
Oh, sure. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Sophos. They are an amazing company to partner with. I do sit on their partner advisory council, but they're invested in us in marketing, the channel team. We have our own, channel representative that is always there to go to bat for us. Their solution set has grown into a portfolio that I firmly believe in, and I use it daily. Their new CEO, Joe Levy, I am just all in. I feel like they're listening, they're investing, there's ethics involved there and trust level. And so to me, that means a lot as a business owner.
So if we're an end user customer, or maybe we're a peer in the channel and we'd like to get in touch with you or learn more about secure content technologies, what can we do? Where can we go?
Absolutely. So we have a wonderful website. It's securecontenttechnologies.com. They could also reach out by email. My email is kgreer@securecontenttechnologies.com. Either one of those are great places to start.
Karen, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and speak with you, and good luck through the rest of the year.
Good luck to you too. You'll be wildly successful.
Thanks so much to Karen for joining me, and thank you for watching or listening. You can check out all episodes of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com or watch us on YouTube at channelinsider_news and trends. You can also listen to the podcast version of every episode on your favorite podcast listening platform. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever possible so you never miss an episode. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.